No, the whole weekend just the same, just no grip, front or rear. So there was no real balance in the car. Not one lap the whole weekend.
And the characteristics of this car bad for this track? Can you have some hope for other tracks?
I don't know. I mean, it's not been too bad in the past, but for whatever reason, this weekend nothing really worked. Sometimes you cannot pull off a risky move because there's a 50-50 chance that it's going wrong, and that's the same in Formula One. Every single weekend, I try to look at things that I can do better, and I try to improve as a driver, which I think is also great because you have all this success, right?
Max Verstappen's future in Formula One has taken a sharp and unexpected turn. A leaked document is making the rounds in the paddock, and it points to a massive new deal that isn't just about money, but about giving Max the freedom to walk away if Red Bull can't deliver a competitive car in the coming seasons. And what makes this leak even more telling is the time comes right after new evidence surfaced suggesting Red Bull's 2026 power unit might be far less competitive than expected, with early performance data hinting they could fall behind established teams like McLaren, and even risk ending up alongside Audi in the lower half of the grid. For a driver who's used to fighting at the very front, that's a huge red flag. Verstappen has already shown public frustration this season, most notably after the Hungarian Grand Prix, where he didn't hold back in saying nothing works and that the car was all over the place. These aren't the kind of comments you hear from a driver who feels confident about his team's direction, especially one known for adapting to just about any machinery thrown at him. The leaked deals clauses now make more sense, because it's not just about locking Max in. It's about giving him an exit strategy if Red Bull's technical issues carry over into the new era. To understand why this leak is making such a huge splash, we need to rewind to the moments that cracked the trust between Max and his team. This season has been far from the smooth, dominant run Red Bull fans have been used to. The Hungarian Grand Prix was the clearest sign yet that things aren't right under the surface. Verstappen started the weekend already on the back foot, qualifying in a position that left him exposed in the midfield, and the race only confirmed the team's struggles. Despite his reputation for carving through the field, Max quickly hit a ceiling. After his second stop, he caught up to Lawson with ease, but instead of charging further, the car began to slide unpredictably. Understeer one lap, oversteer the next. It was like driving two different cars in the same race. That inconsistency has become a recurring theme in recent months. The upgrades brought to the RB21 just aren't clicking. Max himself has said nothing works and that the car is all over the place. These are strong words coming from a driver who's usually the first to adapt to whatever his engineers give him. When even Verstappen, known for squeezing performance out of any setup, is struggling to understand the car's behavior, it says a lot about the scale of the problem.
Just get your thoughts on the FIA's swearing clampdown, threat of points deductions, race bans. What's your take on that, please?
Yeah, I prefer not to speak about that. It might get me in trouble, so it's better not to answer that.
Behind the scenes, fingers are being pointed. The technical leadership, with names like Enrico Balbo and Pierre Wache, is under heavy scrutiny. The car's development path seems unclear, with upgrades either having no real effect or, in some cases, making the handling even more unpredictable. The Hungary weekend exposed not just a lack of pace, but a deeper issue: a team that doesn't fully understand why their car behaves the way it does. And when a team can't explain its weaknesses, finding fixes becomes a guessing game. Red Bull has tried to stay publicly optimistic. Helmut Marko insists the Hungarian GP was a one-off and that similar problems won't happen again. But optimism doesn't equal solutions, and Verstappen isn't the type to be reassured by words alone. For him, it's about results and feeling the car improve underneath him. Right now, that feeling isn't there. And just when it seemed like Red Bull were struggling to hold the ship together, this new deal rumor dropped. And it's the clearest sign yet that Verstappen might already be looking past his current team. From what's been leaked, this isn't a simple contract extension. Yes, there's a significant financial increase, but it's not just a blank check. A big part of the reported deal centers on performance clauses, essentially benchmarks that Red Bull has to meet to keep Verstappen tied down. The most interesting part is the supposed exit clause for 2027, which could allow him to walk away without major penalties if the car isn't competitive under the new regulations. It's a safety net, and it's smart business from Verstappen's side. There's also talk that the contract links some of the bonus payouts directly to championship contention, not just podiums or wins. That means Verstappen's earnings could depend on Red Bull giving him a car capable of fighting at the very top, not just collecting decent points finishes. For someone with his track record, racing for third or fourth isn't acceptable, and this contract reflects that. The language reportedly used in the agreement makes it clear that Verstappen doesn't want to be locked into a slow car situation. It's a shift from the all-in loyalty he's shown before. In the past, he's been willing to trust the team's vision, but now it looks like he's building his own insurance plan. But here's where it gets spicy. The leaked contract isn't even the juiciest part. The real shocker is the evidence that popped up right after, and it could explain why Max is keeping one foot out the Red Bull door.
Now we're headed to the most secret room yet, where this team is building their new engine.
This is one of the world's most advanced engine development facilities. This isn't just an engine, this is a Formula One engine.
Right now, Red Bull buys engines for their cars from Honda, but that's about to change. In 2026, Red Bull's cars will use their own custom engines that they're working on right now, and we're about to be one of the first to go see it.
So this building here wasn't here. Two years ago in June was our first engine. And when you see the workshops, you'll see what we've been doing. It's pretty impressive.
Why does it matter to build a Formula One engine yourself?
Control and the tie-in between the chassis and the engine is paramount, really. You know, you have a better working together, your aerodynamics and everything, all that side of it is.
Not long after news of Verstappen's potential new deal began circulating, more troubling whispers started to make their way around the paddock, and these could explain exactly why Max is keeping his options open. Several insiders claim Red Bull's upcoming 2026 power unit is already showing signs of being off the pace in early simulations. With the regulation changes just over the horizon, this is the kind of information that can shift the entire balance of the sport. The concern isn't just about raw horsepower. There's suggestions that Red Bull's in-house engine program might be heavier than initially planned, and its integration with the chassis could present significant cooling and packaging challenges. In Formula One, those small design compromises can translate into large chunks of lap time loss. One source compared the situation to what Audi is expected to face when they enter the grid. Talented engineers, big ambitions, but starting from zero against manufacturers with decades of experience. That's not a flattering comparison for a team that's been dominating in recent years. The expectation among rival engineers is that Red Bull could find themselves in the same bracket as Audi in the first season of the new regulations, fighting to get into the midfield rather than leading it. And given how quickly the field closes up after a major rule change, falling behind in year one often means chasing the leaders for several seasons before catching up. Adding weight to these concerns are the leaked snippets of development data that have been quietly circulating in the technical community. While nothing official has been confirmed, the numbers reportedly show Red Bull's projected performance being well short of benchmarks set by rivals like Mercedes and Ferrari. Even McLaren, once considered a distant threat, is said to be significantly ahead in adapting to the 2026 engine chassis integration requirements. For Verstappen, this isn't just an engineering problem, it's a career-defining decision. He's in the peak years of his driving ability, and every season spent in an underperforming car is a lost opportunity to add to his championship tally. If you're Max and you've got 3 world titles, do you really want to spend the prime of your career dragging a slow car around the track? Well, rumor has it he's already got backup plans. One of the most obvious escape routes would be Mercedes. They've been linked to Verstappen before, and with Lewis Hamilton's era coming to an end, the thought of pairing George Russell with a proven world champion is tempting. But there's a catch. Mercedes has its own junior drivers coming through, and disrupting that long-term pipeline could create internal tension. They might only go for Max if they see a clear, immediate benefit to the championship fight. McLaren is another interesting possibility. They've made huge gains in recent seasons, seasons and could be a front-running team under the new regulations. The problem is that their current driver lineup is locked in and performing well. For Verstappen to land there, it would likely take a major shakeup, similar to how Mercedes lost Nico Rosberg after 2016, opening the door for Bottas. That kind of sudden vacancy could give Max a path in, but it's far from guaranteed. Then there's Aston Martin. On paper, it makes a lot of sense. Fernando Alonso is nearing retirement, and the team has strong links with Honda, as well as access to Adrian Newey's past design influence. Verstappen could slot in as the clear #1 driver, with a teammate who wouldn't realistically challenge him for the title, but Aston has also made commitments to its current lineup, and with Lawrence Stroll's influence, there are politics to navigate. Even if Alonso steps aside, the timing would have to be perfect for Max to make the move. With Christian Horner no longer steering the ship, Red Bull has been trying to reset the atmosphere inside the team. Laurent Mekies, now in the team principal role, has taken on the task of restoring Verstappen's trust, a job that is proving harder than simply throwing resources at the car. Mekies has been publicly downplaying the scale of the Hungary disaster, calling it an outlier, and insisting that the RB21 is still capable of strong results on the right tracks. The official line from Red Bull is that the problems in Budapest were unique to the circuit's layout and conditions, and that similar issues won't resurface. They've promised minor updates after the summer break, hoping to tighten the gap to McLaren and, at minimum, secure second in the constructors' standings. But that target alone is telling. Not long ago, Red Bull was speaking in terms of dominance, aiming for clean sweeps and locking up both championships early. Now, the realistic goal is to be P2, essentially conceding that the title fight is already gone. The strategy behind this is clear. Keep Verstappen engaged by showing small but steady improvements through the remainder of the season, then arrive in 2026 with a fully developed package for the new regulations. But the risk is obvious. For Max, gradual progress won't be enough if the fundamental problems like inconsistent handling and an underdeveloped power unit remain unsolved. But here's the thing. Verstappen doesn't buy promises, he buys progress. And the longer that progress takes, the louder those exit rumors get. Max has built his reputation on never giving up in a fight, even when the odds look impossible. We've seen him squeeze wins from weekends where the car wasn't the fastest, relying on strategy, adaptability, and raw racecraft. But that fighting spirit depends on having a realistic shot at the front. If he's going into races knowing that the best possible outcome is a low-end podium or a top 5 finish, the motivation will inevitably fade. And that's where the leaked deal becomes more than just a contract story, it's a statement. It could very well be a power move aimed at lighting a fire under Red Bull's technical department, essentially saying, "Deliver me a winning car or I walk." But it could just as easily be the first step in preparing for life after Red Bull. The inclusion of performance clauses and an early exit option isn't something you negotiate unless you're seriously thinking about using them. Max also understands the timing of the new F1 era in 2026. Those first 2 seasons under the new rules will likely set the competitive order for years. Spending them in a midfield car could lock him out of title contention until he's past his peak. That's not a risk he seems willing to take, especially when rival teams could offer him a seat in a proven race-winning machine. So is this leak deal a clever bluff, or the first domino to fall in Max Verstappen's Red Bull exit? I have my theory, but what's yours? Which team do you think Max would fit into best? Stop your thoughts in the comments, and if you thought this leak was big, wait until you see the insane rumor about who's joining McLaren next season.